So what we tend to do is do a little bit of sort of presentations of 30-35 minutes, and then at the end we tend to take some questions, some of which through social media, some of which directly through the chat function that you can see on the screen there. But what we may do is just feel free at any point as we're going through the next sort of half an hour, if you want to just unmute yourself and sort of stop me as we're going through and ask any questions, then feel free. It's a different type of webinar that we're doing today. And the reason being is that we're obviously, as per the title, we're going to do a live analysis, so it's a bit of a deconstruction of the Missguided mobile site, which you can see on the left-hand side there. A bit different, so we're going to do it a bit more of an open sort of book, really. So if you, as I said, if you've got any questions or you want to ask anything specific to your brand that resonates as we start to go through things, then let me know. As usual, we are recording this. As you just saw me just click on the record button there, so it is being recorded. We will send it out, and the purpose of the notes on the right-hand side that we'll go through is so that if there's any points further down the line that you just want to remind yourself, then you will get a recording as per normal, and Helen will send that through later on, hopefully this afternoon. Just to double check that everybody else can see, can somebody just let me know via the chat if you can see my screen okay? I'm just going to share it now. Okay, Helen, can you see my screen on yours there now? Okay, yeah, okay, she's giving me a nod. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, in that case, everybody else should be able to see that. If any problems with the comms, give me a shout, and we'll try and sort that out for you. Okay, so let's get stuck into this. As you know, it's recorded. In terms of the screens that you can see, it's slightly different. So on the right-hand side here, we've got the notes section that we'll be talking through. On the left-hand side, you can see here is literally a little piece of software. Helen, what's the name of the plugin for Chrome? I can't remember what it is now.
It's called the user switching agent. If you just type that into Google, you can download it for your Chrome browser. Great,
thanks. So the user switching agent, so the basic premise of it is when you click it, it allows you to change the dimensions of your screen literally by dragging and dropping, and the actual site that you're looking at will change according to whether it's mobile friendly or not, as the case may be. So if you add the user agent to your Chrome plugin, it's a really good tip, because it's something that we use to check when we're looking at, particularly from an SEO point of view and the mobile visibility side of SEO. It's something that we go to straight away, so it's a really useful thing. I know our techie guys use it quite a lot, and that's where the sort of tip came from. So what you're seeing on the left-hand side here is an Android-sized screen. I refuse to choose Apple. It's an Android-sized. So this is a sort of similar size to like a Galaxy S5 or a smaller one of the tablet Pros that they do. So it'll give you a guide from what a mobile screen would look like, or a very small tablet, just so that you know. So this site that we're navigating here is essentially a mobile site. So don't get confused that it's on a desktop browser, and we're talking from a desktop point of view, basically. So just one thing to bear in mind, basically. Okay, so welcome to the live analysis. Bear with us, as I said, it's a bit of a departure from what we normally do, so hopefully you'll get some really good tips as we just sort of crash through the site and work out what's good and what's not. So we're going to start initially with essentially what the aim of it, and the aim of this particular webinar, and hopefully you'll look at the recordings moving forward, is really, and I guess this is the end of the three in the series, really. So we started off 2 webinars ago just talking about the basics of mobile visibility, essentially, and what it means to brands, essentially. The second one was a bit more of a deeper dive and some trends that are in 2016 that we feel certain brands are doing really well, and some that there's some that aren't, and some areas of improvement you could take. And the idea of this really is just for you to take some notes and take a list of things that Missguided do really well. Again, it's not, as mentioned at the end of the last webinar, it's not a deconstruction of the site in a negative way. What we're trying to achieve with this is to say, look, these are things they do really well. You know, go copy them or better them, essentially. And also, these are the things that, if we were in front of Missguided, I believe Missguided are on the call, but I'll double check on the attendees a little bit shortly. But certainly, in terms of if we were sat in front of Missguided, we would be presenting these things to them as things that they may want to look at. So I just thought it was worthwhile taking the time just to frame the aim of this webinar, particularly because it is different than some of the others that we've done, basically. Okay, let's dive straight into what they do really well. So the first point is that they cross-sell really well. So let me just jump over to our mobile view here and just give you an idea of what we mean. So the idea being is that, bear in mind in webinar 1 and 2, we covered the topics of the mobile channel being quite a key influencing channel, not just in terms of converting through the mobile channel itself to a sale, but also people browsing, looking at the various looks in this example, looking at various items, and then buying through desktop further down the line. So we need to think about both a converting platform, using mobile as a converting platform, but also as an influencing platform, which is one thing we looked into last time. But in terms of one thing that Missguided do really, really well, or do a lot well, but this particular point is they do, on a product level, what we call a shop this look feature, and in fact it's actually what Missguided call a shop this look feature. So let me just talk you through what I mean, or guide you through. So the mobile, and you can see here the mobile menu is as you would expect it. So if you just go into dresses and then go into view all dresses, this is a really good example that Helen picked out before, really. So as the site loads, we'll come on to site speed shortly. The products are listed really quite clearly and really quite well, which is a byproduct really, which we'll come on to at a further stage really. But if you look a little bit further down the line, I'll pick on this particular dress here, so a silky wrap blazer dress in white. So if we click on that, what we mean by shop the look feature is if you scroll down, so again, some really good points on here about the reviews, which is really good. But there's a little link here that says shop this look, and basically what it means is it looks at what the model here is wearing, all of the outfits. So for example, if it was on a model was wearing trousers, shoes, and a top, for example, shop the look would produce listings for each element of the look essentially that the model's wearing. So in this example, you can see the details about the dress itself, the size. You can add it to a wish list. You can start to add it to your bag if you want to buy it straight away, or view some further details here, which is great. But it also then lists the other areas that are on the other products that are on the model. So a clip-on classic hoop earrings in gold, for example, and again, it gives you the size. It gives you add to bag, add to wish list, or view full details. So cross-selling is really good because generally speaking, what mobile channel essentially is used for is that when people look at that model, they say, I like that outfit as it were, and so rather than having to go and look at the dress, then go back up to the menu at the top and look at accessories and go from there. And bear in mind this is a mobile device, so people's attention span, as we explored in webinar 2, is significantly less than a desktop, for example, where people are settled, maybe at home, maybe in work, but they're more settled, comfy chair, maybe a brew, maybe a bite to eat, or whatever it may be. But essentially they're more settled and have more patience, whereas on a train, walking through the streets looking for the next meeting or whatever it may be when they're engaging with the mobile device itself, they want things quick, and so this is a great way from a cross-sell point of view to give people what they want straight away. It's really interesting. Next point is that they've got some really good back to top arrows, and this is a really it's one of the things that's missed out quite a lot really, particularly on mobile devices, and Missguided do it really, really well. What I've just selected then, I've gone back to all dresses, so this is all of the dresses that Missguided do essentially, and you can start to argue whether you have all of these listed or you just split it out by different page volumes essentially. So if we go to the bottom, there's normally a thing here that says show 1 to 40 of so many styles. So you can argue what works and what doesn't work from a usability point of view there. But what really does work well is as you start to scroll down, this arrow appears here. So if you're looking, and the speed you look is normally at the pace that I'm scrolling down now. So okay, so there's that wrap dress we just looked at, and then we go, okay, interesting. And you go, right, I want to get back to the navigation now. Just click the arrow and you're straight to the top. And bearing in mind the size of, we discussed last time how many pixels a call to action button should be based on the thumb up or thumb down technique we discussed. Well, you can see here that this is perfectly suited for a, in brackets, normal sized finger. So, again, bear in mind this is a desktop, but that's the actual size it would appear on the screen of this size. So, it's really a good point to raise, really. Usability is key on mobile. The other thing that they do really well is what we call a price dragger feature. So let's say, for example, you click on this particular dress here, and you see some basic details at the top. You see some images which you can scroll across here, which is interesting. They've also got a zoom feature, because it's still tied into the desktop here, but the images are visible on a mobile device as well. And as you scroll down, I believe, Helen, jump in here if you don't mind. Where did we find the price?
Yeah, that's fine. If you click on the dress again, if you go back to the main dresses there, just click dress, view all dresses.
Yeah.
And then you filter. Press filter at the top.
Yeah, it's in the filter, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then if you scroll down a bit there.
Cool. So essentially, thanks, Helen. So essentially, this is a really good feature, and areas of sites that we work on that convert really, really well, basically they have this feature, and it's literally just to drag the price. So that's the bottom end that I can afford. This is the top end that I can afford, and then go into apply filters, and it'll only show the dresses based on the previous listing. I think it was 25,000 dresses that they've got. You can start to then look at size, color, and then price. So if you say, look, the only, let's say, I'm prepared to pay, minimum, say, 40 odd pounds, and maximum prepared to pay is 90 pounds, apply filter, and these are the dresses that are within those filters. So, and just going back to that, actually, from a filter point of view again, you can see here that the actual drag icons are, again, have been thought through from Apple's convention of a certain size call to action for a particular for a particular mobile size screen. So again, they put some thought into that, which is again really, really important. One thing that they do really well, so if we just apply those filters, they do what we call urgency to buy. It's a call to action again. And what I noticed earlier on when I was having a quick scan through the site myself was that they do next day delivery countdowns. So here you can see, oh, this is, well, not so great review, they're awful fit, but, they do some 5-star reviews, they show that and they comment against that. They also start to show, here you can see that free next day delivery, and on some products they do a countdown here that basically says, the next delivery or next day delivery countdown finishes in 3 hours, 59 minutes and 10 seconds, and then as you're on it you can see it counting down. And what these call to actions and countdown timers do is they just add urgency to the buying process. And bearing in mind, we've just discussed that mobile channels are converting channels and also influencing channels for desktop. We need to bear in mind that actually, let's not forget that that people will buy through mobile devices. Some of our clients that are high-end fashion brands have got basket values of maybe £500, £600, £700, and they buy through mobile devices at an alarming and increasing rate on a monthly basis. Most of our fashion brands traffic is over 51, 52, 53%. And that's just the traffic that arrives at the website, of course. So they arrive 50-odd% and more of the mobile part of the site, or mobile versions of the site. But actually, the percentage that are buying through the mobile channel now is also increasing. So we need to just bear that in mind, essentially. And so things like this at the top here. So £15 dresses, limited time only. Come get some, £20 student discount, ends in 30 minutes. They just add urgency really, really well. And if I'm interested in this particular dress here, if I know that in such and such a time that the UK delivery reduction to £1.99 delivery for next day ends in 30 minutes, for example, then the chances are I'm going to scroll down here, choose my size, and click add to bag and buy as quick as possible. So urgency really is super important, really, from a mobile design and UX point of view. Social communication has been modernized, really. Do you want to jump in on this one again, Helen, and just describe what you think?
Yeah, sure. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you can see that they've got their Snapchat icon. So I did a bit of research and found their demographic was actually 16 to 24-year-old females. And then the demographic of Snapchat itself is actually users under 34, and again, roughly 70% users being female. So obviously they've kind of jumped on the modernised social media bandwagon there. Not many sites actually have the Snapchat icon. I've seen a few with WhatsApp, which again is great for that kind of demographic, but Snapchat, yeah, that's Missguided seems to be the only one that really push that channel.
Perfect. Yeah, it's a good point. And at the bottom there, you can see the little sort of Snapchat logo in there as well. So it's a really good point. And it goes back to webinar 1 really, where we discuss personas and other fashion webinars that we've done. Definitely check out our TV and radio page. Everything is on there, or the fashion category on our website as well. Webinar 1 in this particular series, mobile marketing focus series, We actually looked at personas, as we do quite a lot. So before we engage with the client, we look at who are we talking to, what are the audience, and they've obviously done that piece of research really well and said, you know what, our audience is on, part of our audience anyway, is on Snapchat, particularly 16 to 24-year-old females. And again, that's, you know, making a 16 to 24-year-old female's life as easy as possible when they're buying something is really quite important. So all of the above points we've just discussed are really, really, really important. So yeah, it's a good point. And then the site function, this really is a bugbear of mine, really. So from a mobile device, if you bear in mind that when we looked at all dresses there, I should just go back to it, there was, I think it was 25,000 dresses, I think it was. Now, if you think of how you go to buy a dress normally, you would approach the site just looking for a dress. You don't necessarily know whether you want a tight-fitting dress, a loose dress, an evening dress. Sorry, you will know whether it's an evening dress or a party dress or whatever it may be, but you won't necessarily know the style, the make, you know, sometimes even sort of the price, really. So, you know, and I'll just try and have a look here. There you go. We're 2,518 different styles of dresses, and we're only looking at 1 of 40 here. So it's a bugbear that site function on a mobile website doesn't work as well as it should do. Whereas what Missguided do really well is they get this function working really well. Again, huge box so bear in mind you'd be tapping with your fingers here, you know, and it works really well. So let's just type in black dresses. Instantly, as I'm typing, it gives you various other options here. You can just click on go if you want, or select some of the options below. But long story short, works really well, and you've just narrowed down 661 styles out of a possible 2,518, all of which are black, all different styles, all under one space. Just makes life a little bit easier. You can then, of course, add the filters, and the filters, you know, equate to subcategories, so you can look at party dresses or whatever you may be. Again, our price drag is in there, so they give basically every possible chance to make, you know, a 16 to 24-year-old female's buying journey, buying length, so much easier. And again, you can see our call out or urgency by call to actions really kicking in well. Again, offer codes pop in from time to time. This, from a technical point of view, is very easy to implement. A rotating banner on a mobile website is very easy to do. So well worth looking at, and a great tip there. Okay, just in summary, hopefully, again, if you go back over the recording, you can pick out some of the nuggets of information that we've just been through. But essentially, there's quite a lot that Missguided do really, really well, which is great. But what can they do better? And again, this isn't a slanderous approach. As I said, we think the vast majority of what they do is really, really good. So let's just look at a few bits and pieces that we don't think they do too well, as it were. One of which the ASOS do really, really well, and actually they're known for. And across their social media channels, they're known for this as well, not just their website and their mobile website, is product videos. So one thing that this age demographic really does do is engage with video content. So we're talking about 16 to 24 females for Missguided as a big target audience. If you look at YouTube, most of the how-to guides are something to do, particularly targeted at that age demographic, something to do with a look, whether it's makeup, hair, dress, styles, whatever it may be. And so it's really it obviously resonates with our audience. And what ASOS have done is they've said, right, we agree, we know the audience likes videos and engage with videos. And so what they've done is on a product by product basis, they've added in videos. So for example, here, if we were to just click on this particular dress for argument's sake, what Missguided do really well is they give a variety of options in terms of images that you can see. They've got a zoom function, but ignore that, it's just a desktop thing. So you can zoom in and you can sort of see different really high quality images, and they're taken very, very well. But if the last image was a video, I think that particularly Missguided would find that the engagement is significantly higher, particularly on a mobile site. Bear in mind that this is a big influencer channel to purchase further down the line, whether it's when they get to the office, when they get home, or over the weekend, or even a month or two down the line. It's a big influence of the mobile channel, and video is a massive influencer. It's kind of where television used to be sort of 5-6 years ago, and still is to a certain extent in terms of raising awareness about a product. You can do that significantly cheaper now through your website, through your mobile website particularly, and ASOS do that really well. So that's one thing we'd suggest to Missguided. Apart from the apply filter, the second point here is that they could highlight color choices for each product a bit better. So here I know we've typed in black, so let's just come out of this and just go back into dresses, for example, since we're on that topic. At this level, at the category level and also at the product level, they don't display the various colors. So of course here it says black, for example, it says blue, but let's say, for example, I want to know if this particular dress is in white or turquoise or wherever it may be. You don't really know that. Apart from the description just says it's black, you kind of thought, well, actually maybe it's just black. So it'd be better to sort of say, well, actually, do you know what are the color sizes, what other colors are available? All it says here is a little bit of an example. It also gives the length, it also gives the material, it gives the size below here. It doesn't say that there are other options available in terms of colour. There may not be in this particular example, but from what we've seen across the site, that seems to be coming through quite a lot. And we've got this age demographic in the office, and that seems to resonate with our staff here as well. So you don't have to take my word for it. So that's one thing that we would just recommend from a usability point of view. It's something that Boohoo do really, really well, essentially. And one of the stats that Helen's picked out here that Kissmetrics reported that even a 1-second page delay in response can result in a 7% reduction in conversion. So colour choices, because people are pausing for whatever reason, can have quite a big impact in terms of revenue. And third point is promote the app more. And again, reference to a lot of the points that we make aren't just based on what we feel or experience, they're based on some stats. So here you can see a survey conducted by Oracle Mobile stated that 63% of UK millennials like using a mobile app to purchase a company's product or service. So yes, it's great, and this is what we touched on in webinar 1 and 2 actually. Yes, it's great to have a fully functioning mobile facing website, which works particularly well from an m-commerce point of view, i.e. people can buy through it, but also works well from a navigation point of view and an assisting point of view. But certainly, you know, an app is almost the you know, if you can imagine a mobile responsive website is the sort of championship, then the premiership is really getting an app out there, particularly across obviously iTunes and Google Play Store. That's really where we start to see existing clients of ours really take off in terms of the mobile revenue that they generate is when they have an app, and again they apply the same logic to their app as they do to their mobile visible website, and some of the points that we've been through already in this 3 webinar series would also carry forward into design of the app as well. In terms of customer service access points, we just feel it'd be better if you could give, if Missguided could allow a link or make something a little bit easier to find to contact customer service. Most people will go to the bottom anyway here. That's fine, and there is some you know, extended information. There's contact us here, but maybe on a category level at least, not so much on a product level, maybe so, but something that just says, you know, I've got an issue with sizing, click here. Do you want to contact customer service about delivery, click here, rather than just expecting people to go to the bottom. And bear in mind this is a mobile screen. Bear in mind the thumbs up, the thumbs down strategy that we mentioned in webinar 2. It's going to be very difficult to click these on a mobile device potentially. So just try and make the customer feel that there's somebody just waiting there, whether it's a mobile chat feature or whether it's actually an email address or a phone number. Just give people the opportunity to pick up the phone, or in this case, the phone's already picked up, and just click a button and come straight through to customer service. An example here, Boohoo and ASOS both have clearly accessible customer service access points. So if you're wondering what we mean, definitely have a look at those 2 websites, and definitely use this user agent that Helen mentioned at the start to have a look at their sites like we are here. And actually, just a note at the bottom of that point, we asked our in-house SEO expert to take a quick look at the site to find any technical errors, and he didn't find too much. But what he did find, and this is based on the guy that we're talking about, actually works on a lot of our fashion brands, so he would know what he's looking for. So as a compliment to Missguided, there's not a lot that's in there, but maybe these next sort of 5 points you may be able to relate to, and may be able to just sort of take heed from and fix for your own brands essentially. So the site speed mobile-wise is quite poor. Google do a site speed checker, so if you type in mobile site speed check into Google, you'll find a particular link that goes through to an online sort of piece of kit. You just copy and paste your website in, just your main domain, and it will go in and just tell you what your speed is, and you'll notice on the Missguided site it's quite slow. So we mentioned they're adding some videos. I would look at the structure of the site technically just to work out what the errors are there from a, particularly from Missguided's point of view, just to see why there's some errors in it and fix those first before you start adding videos on. But certainly site speed's quite poor. Google will give you a score, so the output is to say it's below par. If it's below par, it could affect your overall SEO rankings, visibility, value. So it's well worth looking at mobile speed. There was an update that people were coining Mobile-geddon, as only we in the digital space can do. But essentially, it was an update that said that now the speed of your mobile and other mobile-based SEO points were going into the overall SEO algorithm, which is basically how your site ranks. So it's really important to make sure speed, and also the second point that it's got some pages got default meta descriptions instead of scripts, instead of specific descriptions. So make sure that you don't just sort of say, well, mobile's not that important in terms of looking at the basic SEO constructs. It really is as important. So definitely some of the basic SEO constructs like page titles, meta descriptions, those type of things, make sure that they're up to speed essentially. We ran a crawl on the site, and there's a number of 404 errors, which is never good from an SEO point of view, whether it's mobile or the desktop site. So we use a piece of software called Screaming Frog. Sounds great, and it basically comes back and tells us what the errors are. And so if Missguided are on the line, then definitely drop us a note, and we'll send you that output across. It's really important to get those fixed, and it's a nice easy thing to do. Just send to your IT or your web development company and say, these are the errors, can you fix them, and they will do it. A lot of the time it's when you remove and add products that these errors happen basically. At the time of our SEO analysis, there was some no index pages that need to be looked at. So basically there's a tag that stops Google indexing certain pages. Normally it's in a file called a robots.txt file. It's very 1999 in terms of an SEO strategy. It's worth mentioning that, but still quite relevant. What it is basically a user agent that tells Google, don't look at this page, don't look at this page, don't look at this page, but do look at the rest of the site. And so we definitely recommend Missguided just looking at that and just making sure that we're allowing the search engine spiders into the right parts of the site. And if we're not, then it's something that's quite easy to fix and can have quite a big benefit from an SEO point of view. And just a bit of a sort of housekeeping really, we noticed that some of the Missguided page titles are quite long. So when they appear a bit sort of clustered, and you can see up here, this is really where that they would sort of appear. So that's the page title you can see highlighted there now. So strappy, cross, back, swing, dress, black, hyphen, Missguided. From a mobile point of view, it's quite high. Is it going to make massive difference? Possibly not. It's just a bit of housekeeping. Just keep it nice and punchy. Even for the desktop point of view, keep it nice and punchy, well within the limits that are stated by Google for a page title. So just a couple of interesting points from a technical aspect there, these sort of 5, and quite easy to fix as well, actually. So that's quite interesting. Okay, just coming up to the half-hour mark. I am going to check now if there's any questions, but while I'm just asking Helen to gather some questions, I think she's going to jump on and ask me those shortly. Thanks for attending, obviously. What we are actually offering our attendees, as we have done for the rest of the 2 webinar in this 3 webinar series, we're offering a free mobile analysis of your own site. We'll send the call to action through in an email later on this afternoon, I believe. And what that will entail is if you sign up for that, I'll sit down with you and do a very similar task, but it'll probably take us a bit more than half an hour, but it'll be very specific to your site. So what we'll do is we'll start to look at it, how it appears, we'll start to look at technically how it fits. We'll get our SEO guys internally here to look at it from an SEO point of view, just to give you some pointers, and very similar to what we did here with Missguided. So you'll get essentially a list of things that we feel, I mean, here we gave 3, 4, plus 5. So we gave 9 tips here really, and all of which will improve the visibility, will improve revenue, and will improve search rankings particularly, which is what we're all interested in because that equates to revenue, of course, in itself. So we will go through it. We'll spend somewhere between 35 and 45 minutes. It'll be specific to your site rather than a site that we choose to present essentially. So yeah, so let me know. That email will come out. Let me know if anybody's interested. Helen, do you want to jump on and read out some questions?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so the first one we've got through is, would you suggest implementing the shop the look feature you mentioned earlier on each of my products pages or just a select few?
Well, that's a nice easy one. Ideally, all the products, if possible, but bear in mind we just looked at Missguided, and even just looking at all of the dresses, there's over 2,500. So logistically, that might be a bit of a nightmare. So shop the look can be, really shop the look needs to be on the product, because you're looking at what's on the model, the shoes, the handbag, the earrings, the accessories, everything else, and so that's what that's all about, really. But you can get away with it by looking at it on a category basis. So if you've got, for example, all party dresses, and then all the party dresses are listed, you could do it at that level rather than having to do it. Yeah. So, for example, just start on party dresses. Don't worry about dresses. Don't worry about trousers. Don't worry about shoes. Just focus on dresses as an example. If time is an issue, if not, do it on everything if you can. It does take quite a lot of development in the back end, and it depends on what platform people are using. If it's something that's fairly open source, like Magento, that kind of thing, then it's a lot easier. If you're using something like BT Fresca or C# or something else that's a bit more robust, which translates into expensive, then it might be, you might need to sort of upload it into a development cycle with the development company, and it may take a couple of months to do because it's such a big functionality to add in. But it's well worth factoring into your next updates, because it is something that works really, really well. And we've got a number of clients with the shop that look in place, and engagement is significantly up in terms of volume of mobile pages seen, length of time spent on the site, and the length of the user journey is improved as well. So yeah, definitely implement it if you need to. Try and sort of chunk it down into certain areas, so just party dresses and do it on all of the party dresses and ignore everything else, for example, but ideally on everything.
Okay. We've got another question here as well. Would you bother getting your internal teams to test your mobile site functionality, or just leave it to unbiased consumer testers?
Really good point. So what our view for our clients, and this again, we do a lot of CRO testing, usability testing, user flow through websites and through baskets. So we do a lot of it. And what we do is we don't use the human interaction necessarily internally, apart from experience of what's worked from tests we've done with a controlled audience group, i.e. if we're targeting 16 to 24-year-old males, for example, don't use the 16 to 24-year-old males in the office here, but if they've got experience of working with a similar brand to Missguided, we'll ask them, what has your brand done that's worked that's similar for Missguided, if that makes sense. The reason being is that as human beings, we want to apply our opinions to things quite naturally, and that's fine. But from a CRO point of view, from a usability point of view, from a mobile usability point of view particularly, that doesn't really work, because opinions may go completely against the data that the website's telling us. So stick with data. And how we get around that, we use a number of pieces of software, one of which is called user testing and what users do. Those two websites are pieces of software initially, but they're connected to human beings that we can choose what demographic and age and location and all that kind of thing. And what we do is we basically, through what users do particularly, is we can submit a brief through a piece of software to say we want 20 males aged 16 to 24, we want 5 from London, 5 from Leeds, 5 from Manchester, 5 from Liverpool, for example. They have to have an interest in fashion, they have to have bought something from a fashion site in the last 30 days, so on and so forth. So we can basically put a brief, a very tight brief, through what users, usertesting.com or what users do, both separate websites. Definitely look those up. And then basically there are tens of thousands of actual humans registered with those pieces of software that if they match the brief, they get an email from what users do, for example, that says, right, hit search and their client are looking for you to do some user testing. And then we can provide them with a brief, so we can guide them to the areas of the site that we want them to test if they've got any issues with. So it could be, go direct through this link, which is a mobile link to the Missguided website. We want you to buy a black dress size 10. And what we can do through the software is that brief is then delivered to certain people that match the demographics. We then get a recorded session with them commentating about their journey. So they'll say, okay, I've just logged into Missguided, okay, I can see where the dress is, oh, I don't know where the colouring is or whatnot. And so we get these recordings from, in brackets, human beings, so real people, but essentially they're not people with opinions that is leaning towards a site that they prefer or for whatever reason. To back that up, we've got a number of CRO pieces of software that we install on the website that monitor actual site traffic. So we can then see user flow, user drop-off, where people are having issues with forms, and so we can really start to sort of drill down as to what's happening on across the website, really. So that's what we suggest anyway. Anything else, Helen?
No, that's all. Just those two.
Cool. Okay. So as we mentioned earlier, so we will get the recording out hopefully this afternoon to all people that are registered. If there's nobody else that wants to unmute themselves and ask any questions, then we will close the webinar. And just last quick note to say thanks for your attendance. A lot of people that registered have been on all 3 webinars, so I appreciate that. Any feedback on the delivery of the webinars, on the content, is always gratefully received. You've got our email addresses from the sign-ups from the webinar, so please feel free to come back and provide some feedback. Thanks for your time, and hope to speak to you soon.